right, what's up? This is Marcus the Fingers Manderson, entering a contest for We Sample Everything. Shout out to We Sample Everything. They're hosting a contest where they provide a sample to producers, and producers get a chance to flip it and submit it to them. So this is me just going over how I flip the sample. The only requirement was that you had to use an iOS product to flip the sample. So I used the iPad here. I'm in Beatmaker 3. For those that have been paying attention to my channel and social media, you know that's my current production tool of choice. So here I am on the iPad using Beatmaker 3. Let me find the sample for you guys that was provided. Just play a quick snippet of it. Here we go. So that's just a quick snippet of it. The sample is actually really dope. So what I did was I actually took it onto one of my pads here and I lowered it by 3 semitones. You can tell by this tune option here. It's on -3. And then I usually use the auto slice. So I use the auto slice here to sort of slice it into 16 parts and then sort of threw it on 16 different pads and came up with a melody. But here are the different chops. Yeah, so that's the different chops, and then you hear some effects on there. I threw Quattro Mod, which sort of gives it a little wider feel to the sound. Threw some EQ in there, took out some lows, added a lot of highs. This Modly is one of my favorite sort of delay filter. It's a very powerful plugin by Clevgrand. I use a synth lead preset and then lowered the master down to about 8% there. And then I threw saturator on just to bring it out into the mix a little bit. So I'll give you an idea of the chop that I have for that. Here we go. So that's sort of what I did with the sample there. For the drums, for those of you that know, I have a lot of favorite drum kits that I use. I believe I use some Cymatics drums on this. Transient, FAC Transient. This is on all my drums that I use in Beatmaker 3. I have this Punch on Drums preset going into this FAC Maxima on the, I think this is the default preset. And then that goes into Low Fly Dirt. I might actually bring that up a little bit. And then that goes into an EQ that I have here, bringing up some of the mids, actually bringing up a lot of the frequencies, everything, and then have a high pass filter on it so that some of the highs from the original sample can come through. So here is what the drums are doing.
The fingers on the beat.
And then some percussion comes in later. For my 808, one of my favorite 808 sounds, I believe I'm using 808 Jones. I still can't remember where I got this 808 from. I'm going to have to remember and tell you guys in a future video. But these are, I have a list of some of my favorite 808s, and then I always add more into it. But I use 808 Jones probably on most of my tracks that have 808s. As far as the plugins on there, saturator again, just doing a 1 dB gain, 55%, so the saturator is really bringing out the 808 there. Again, FAC Transient on there, Low Fly Dirt on there. So some of these you see across the board. Haze, add some width to the lower end on the 808 there. DAW cassette to add some of that tape saturation. And then I have a sidechain compression so that when the kick hits from the drums, it actually brings down the 808 so that the kicks come through more. So this is what the 808 is doing. Let's take. So that sounds really good in the mix. Next, I have PureSynth, one of my favorite sort of Rompler apps that have like a bunch of sounds in there. This one I'm using a Sweet 80s synth, and then for the effects, just have Quattro Mod adding some width to it again. Believe I'm just playing some notes here and there on there. So this is what this is doing. So sort of like a synthy brass thing, and that actually sounds really nice with the sample. Let me play this. Next I have iSymphonic. So that is sort of like a strings, horns, or orchestral plugin with a lot of in-app purchases. So it's not really cheap, but for this instance, I use pizzicato strings. I actually found a sound that I liked on there, and this is what that's doing. And with the sample, so yeah, that sounds really dope. And then I have Kronecker, which is sort of like bells by it's a Ice Gear product. They do really great with a lot of bell type sounds. So yeah, so that's a bell sound that I use, and here's what that is doing right here. We'll do that here. So sort of add some space to the bell sound there, and I believe the plugin Quattro Mod again, so you might see that across the board, just adding some width there. All right, so next up I have this Beat Hawk app, which is basically some incredible sounds in there. I'm using this 2D orchestral strings tremolo velocity preset, and with that I have it playing some sort of octave type deal. Here we go. So very dark, very sort of cinematic there. And then I use Digital D1, a preset called, let's see, it looks like Pure Frequency ARP. So it looks like an arpeggio that I use. I would show you the plugin, but with Digital D1, the app, when I install it, when I load it to Beatmaker 3, it sort of crashes it. So as soon as I do something with D1, I have to convert it to audio. So here is what I did in there. So that comes in a couple of times there. You see that on the wave. And then another Digital D1 sound, it's called Sexite, S-Sexite or S-Sexite, I don't know how to say it. But that comes in at the beginning and at the very end. Here's what that's doing. Sort of like a synthy phase type deal. So what I'm going to do is play through the song so that you can get an idea how everything fits together. Shout out again to WeSampleEverything for the opportunity. Let's play through it and we'll see how it goes. So here we go.
The fingers on the beat.
right. So I actually call it All In. That's the track. Again, shout out to WeSampleEverything for the opportunity. It's a dope sample. Shout out to Intua, Beatmaker 3, all these apps I use. Shout out to all these developers. And I'll see you in the next video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, check y'all later.